Good morning. It is 10:07 a.m. on uh, what day? Sunday, one of those days, December 27th, 2020. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So we've been, Rocket's poops situation has been evolving. He pooped this morning, and they were more ordinary sorts of poops, but not as much. So I feel like there's some normalization still to come. Um, in case anyone didn't watch yesterday's video, it's basically just that I got him this great big bone for a Christmas present, but then he just ate the whole thing way too fast and has had some digestive consequences. But he's fine. Um, and if you didn't want to tune into this video to hear me talk about dog poop, then well, I apologize. I can understand that perspective. Um, I will just say briefly, without getting into unnecessary details, that it's interesting how when you have a dog, your relationship with dog poop changes in a subtle way because it is assuming that you are a responsible dog owner. Picking up their poop is part of the job. Just like if you have a baby, you have to change their diapers sometimes, right? And it's not that it's ever fun or you enjoy it or anything like that, but it becomes ordinary and expected and fine. But when other people's dogs poop and those owners are not responsible and it's left behind, occasionally I will do the thing where I pick it up for them just because I don't want to see it on the ground. But when, like, for some reason, that always feels super gross. Like, like there's just this expected, like, I signed on for a certain amount of poop. And this is extra poop, not part of the deal. Anyway, um, I feel like it's just a little bit like, if you have a baby and you're used to changing their diapers, but then, like, sometimes your neighbor just comes over with their kid who's, got a full diaper and just says, hey, could you? I'm busy. I feel like that diaper would be more frustrating. But, it's fine. I mean, it's not actually fine that other dog owners leave the poop lying around. That's not fine. But I'm fine. It's okay. Um, so yesterday I decided that I was going to go straight into the DLC for Witcher 3 after all, just because I thought about taking a break in between the main game and playing something else before the DLC, but I just sort of felt like I'm on a Witcher roll. I might as well just go ahead and get through it. Um, like if it's hard, then I'll be more accustomed to it. I'm already more attuned to it. Like if new characters show up or the characters that I'm supposed to remember from the main game, it's more likely that I'll remember them if I just go ahead and go right to it. So I figure that's the right call. So I'm in the middle of the first expansion, Hearts of Stone. And yeah, it's fine so far. Feels like more Witcher 3. My understanding, though, is that the second expansion, Blood and Wine, is really good. People have said so. So I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, so we had a fun session of Dungeons and Dragons Rime of the Frost Maiden last night, where one of the characters had their mom living in one of the towns, and so they visited that town, and so I have fun playing family members of the player characters. It's not always something that every player wants, is to have their character have to interact with the character's family, but when they are interested, I think it's fun. But yeah, I think it's you know the, it's interesting. So in the campaigns that I've run as a game master, I have ones where it's totally homebrew, meaning, I'm making up pretty much everything. Like lots of times I'm using existing like creatures from a book or something, and often will use a map that someone else created, but I'm creating the whole like scenario. It's like if you're baking a cake from scratch, you don't worry about how you didn't make the eggs, or maybe you buy canned frosting instead of homemade frosting or something like that, right? It's like that. But the point is that I'm pretty much coming up with everything, and I'm choosing which maps and I'm choosing which creatures based on the idea I have, as opposed to running one of the published adventure modules like Rime of the Frost Maiden, where mostly everything's provided for you. I will say it's a lot easier in general doing the latter, like it's just less work, but at the same time, it tends to be fun work for homebrew. So it kind of goes back and forth. But one of the things that I do really find interesting are the places where you will tweak and modify the published adventure module in order to fit what's been happening in your character's specific situation. Because in our game, for example, one of the characters we had established that their mother lived in this one particular town, and that they had been a retired adventurer and ranger on their own. And so the quest that was to be done in that town was to try to track down this particular moose. And so what I decided is that it makes sense for the mother character to be pretty informed on the subject and have opinions and thoughts about how it ought to be approached. And in fact, have observed something crucial to the party's ability to track down this creature, and then to want to come and help. And I thought all that was, is a fun, remix of the quest as it appears in the adventure. And I just think Dungeons and Dragons is cool, I guess. All right, I will leave it there, I think, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.